All right, well, at this time, it's my pleasure to welcome my boss, the 74th Governor of Virginia, Governor Glenn Youngkin. As the Chief Economic Officer for the Commonwealth of Virginia, he's facilitated waves of economic investment, bolstering our growth in the economy, and welcoming over $140 billion in new investment to the Commonwealth of Virginia. In 2022, the governor rolled out the all-the-above, all-American energy plan to deliver reliable, affordable, and increasingly clean power by promoting natural gas and other essential components of Virginia's energy future. With a commitment to conservation, the governor has championed agriculture, best management practices, and support for clean rivers, clean streams, and the Chesapeake Bay. And with that, I'd like to give you via our live stream today, the 74th Governor, Governor Glenn Youngkin.
Well, good morning, everyone. And I certainly wish that I could be with you in Philadelphia today, especially given that you are meeting at the National Constitution Center. Of course, we celebrated Constitution Day last week, and as a Virginian, I'm particularly proud of the contributions from James Madison and Virginia's Declaration of Rights written by George Mason. And in fact, I believe I'm surrounded by the First Amendment to the Constitution and our Bill of Rights, a Bill of Rights that stands to protect our liberties and our freedoms. I deeply appreciate the opportunity to share Virginia's perspective on what is a common and serious challenge for all of us. A challenge that is not new, nor one that crept up on us overnight. From day one of my administration in January 2022, Virginia has experienced real growth, economic development growth, massive job growth, and for the first time in 10 years, more people moving to Virginia than moving away to the other 49 states. My early and loud call to action was to rapidly overhaul power policies or otherwise face power shortages, rapid increase in power prices, and wholly unnecessary and damaging constraints on economic development. We projected power demand would grow at substantially higher rates than the misguided 10-year forecasts of 2020, 2021, and 2022. That baseload power demand growth could not be met by wind and solar, and that decommissioning critical power generation and replacing it with intermittent sources was a recipe for failure. And that power bills based on these misguided priorities would lead to rapid escalation in power prices. Indeed, instead of unlocking investment and fast-tracking critical projects, PJM has instead been responsible for bottlenecks and delays that crush jobs, drive up utility bills, and leave families and businesses hurting. This is a crisis of not having enough power, and it is a crisis in confidence. It's this crisis that demands real reform immediately. And at the top of the list is that states must have a real say. It's that simple. Governors serve as the chief executives of our states. We need energy and power strategies that deliver, and being ignored by PJM just flat doesn't work, period. And that is why I am formally requesting PJM reopen the process for appointments to their board and include the nominations that were submitted by governors to represent states on that board. PJM management must be held responsible for delivery on its basic mission: safety, reliability, and security of the bulk electric power system. I would add affordability, basic requirements that must be met. Supporting sufficient supply to meet demand, efficient capacity auctions, rapid project integration, just to name a few of the basic requirements of the job. Another basic requirement is that you forecast growth in demand in an accurate way. And when we look back at the forecasts from 2020, 2021 and 2022, these 10-year forecasts predicted 10-year demand growing at plus or minus 0.5%. We are where we are today because these forecasts were just fundamentally wrong, driven more by hope and ideology than reality. And that is why we are working on legislation that will allow Virginia to reassess whether our utilities will continue to be part of PJM. Virginia will need to decide what is best for Virginia ratepayers. This doesn't mean that we are walking away, but it does mean that collectively we recognize we need to represent and protect our ratepayers. And that means sending a clear, unified signal that PJM must modernize, must reform. PJM must improve its planning, and above all, PJM must work to restore confidence that recently has been so badly lost. The bottom line is that when PJM succeeds, we all succeed together. But if reforms stall, we will act and do what is needed to protect the families and businesses who depend on us. In closing, let me reiterate that the challenges are real, but so is the need for reform. And this is a moment to act collaboratively and with urgency. Thank you again for the chance to share Virginia's perspectives and our priorities. And now it is my honor to introduce Chairman Mark Christie of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. Chairman Christie brings a unique perspective to these challenges, having served for nearly 17 years as chairman of the Virginia State Corporation Commission, where he was unanimously elected 3 times by a bipartisan state legislature, a testament to the trust and respect he's earned from policymakers and the public. As a former president of the Organization of PJM States, Chairman Christie has seen firsthand how PJM's decisions impact ratepayers across our region. Chairman Christie, the floor is yours.